Okay, right on. Hey, welcome to my studio. In case you can't tell, it is used for multi-purposes, for a lot of purposes, multi-purpose studio, whatever. Anyway, I am an artist, a musician, and photographer, and I guess some of those things crisscross and all of that. But the point is, a lot of creativity takes place in this space, and I'm so glad you stopped by to check it out. So far, I'm really honing in on this channel and have been honing in on one of those skills that I love to develop, and that is photography. So if you haven't, make sure you check out my other videos. I do photo walks, I shoot with film, I shoot digital, I test out different gear and all of that. And it's really mostly just for fun, but it's from a practical standpoint as much as possible. It is just about me and trying to do things that I love to do when it comes to photography. If you're interested in the art side of things, go ahead and check out Joe Everson Art, and I'll provide a link there somewhere. And you can check out all the other stuff that I do when it comes to painting and things like that. So performance as well. But for today, what I thought I would answer is a couple of questions that have been popping up. And that has a lot to do with what am I doing when it comes to my workflow, but more importantly, or more focused in on the actual editing of some of my photos in specific photo walks. So the most recent question I've got was a lot to do with the last big video that I put out for the photo walk up in the mountains. And I wanted to show you guys what that looks like on my tablet as I edit it and give you a feel for what's going on for that. There's a lot to take in with some of this, and so I'm gonna narrow that down quite a bit and show you that one part of it is actually super simple. Stack on top of that, if you will, some other techniques that I've been using to show you a couple of tools that I like to use that make things a little bit quicker and also a little more, I don't know, vibrant or real or almost surreal sometimes, if you will. So I'm gonna try to add that all together. Number one, I used the Fuji X-T3 to do this recent photo shoot. I also used a Cine Bloom 10% filter, which I have around here somewhere. Not that one. Yes, it is. Haha. I have it in the wrong case. Anyway, this is the Cine Bloom filter by Moment, and it's a 10%. You can get them in 10 or 10 or 20%, I believe. And it just provides for a little bit of that glow, almost a haze, also known as obviously a bloom, that allows the light to kind of wrap around subjects or objects and give it a little bit more of a either cinematic feel or maybe even a little bit of a retro vibe if that's what you're into. This recent shoot, I was testing it out. I think I really liked it. I don't know that I would always use it. Fads come and go, and maybe this is that, maybe it's not, but I really enjoyed it for the shoot. So I wanted to let you know that was one of the tools that I used that kind of had that diffusion and that bloom added to it. I also shot everything, both JPEG and RAW. So a lot of times I'll shoot with a film simulation so that I can see if I like what I'm seeing, maybe even use just the JPEGs right out of camera. And that is one of the best tools that you can use when it comes to the Fuji systems. That's why I love them so much, and they're a lot of fun. If you're not really happy with a couple of shots, how they turned out with that look, you've always got the RAW as a backup to edit as well. And today I'm gonna show you how I use the RAW setup with a really quick LUT that I use and get the look that I got from that video. Now, some of them I used just JPEGs when I brought it in, and some of them were edited in RAW. And I've actually created some LUTs that copy some of those other Fujifilm simulations. Wow, that was a lot to take in. I apologize. Let's get right into the editing. What you're about to see is a RAW to final version from the camera into the iPad Pro and out as a JPEG, looking very similar to my film simulations that I like to use with a little tweak. And I'll show you those tweaks. Let's go. So what we have here in the tablet is one of the shots that I really like. We were up on the mountain, and it's mostly side lit and backlit. There's a little bit of some heavy shadow coming across the subject, and I didn't have a lot of choice in where I was doing the placement because I couldn't exactly get on the other side of the mountain and take the shot that way. I think that's why in a lot of these angles, I ended up using the raw footage, if you will, the raw photos over just the JPEGs because it seemed a little dark and I wanted to keep most of the information for some of these shots. So personally, that's what I wanted to do. It's really a judgment call for you on something like this. All of this is a judgment call in style. Here's how I did it. The very first thing I'm gonna do is pick out a LUT that I wanna use. Now I created a film preset LUT that I really liked for this shoot and this overall look. I decided to use something called Warm Desert. Love the look and I'm done. There we go, it's applied. Now I like the grain and the character of this color and everything about it, but it's a little bit shadowed. And instead of doing your typical go into the lights and adjust the shadows and bring it up, that's not terrible, but to me, it still isn't quite right because I want to keep some of the background elements still kind of moody, and I feel like that made it kind of go away a little bit in a way that I didn't want to. Once again, kind of a preference thing, but there's a new tool that is available, and that is a subject select tool or select subject tool. And you just select right here on the circle with the dots around it, you click on the plus sign, and we've got some new options available. These are pretty cool. Okay, so as you can see right here, there is a subject select tool. That's what I'm gonna use for this. And it starts to detect the subject. Now, it did a decent job, like it's not perfect every time. You see it doesn't quite get the hand, and there's maybe a few objects around the corner from the blooming, but look at how well it did cutting around the object against the sky and all of that. I have been using this tool for a while and it is super, super helpful in quickly selecting big portions. Typically, this would be something that I would do in Photoshop or another app to be able to select a subject like this. Now, I'm actually fine with it, even selecting the item next to her, but I don't like what's happened down here by the feet and a little bit around the legs and everything. So I am going to erase a little bit of that subject select by clicking on the minus plus circles down here at the bottom. And then I'm going to click subtract from mask, and then you can do it in different ways. Now I'm going to do it with a brush tool, and as you can see, you can select your size, brush, and your opacity. I'm going to leave it just like that, use 12, and I'm going to go ahead and start just drawing. Now I like this tactile feel of editing. This is why I have moved most of my editing away from just the computer and using the tablet a lot. Since I travel all the time, this is also a really helpful tool to be able to use a tablet like this and not be locked down to only working on a computer. Now that I'm happy, let's say, with this selection, you can then edit and mess with the selection in whatever way you would like to, with color effects, detail, any of that, exposure. And overall, I can bring the exposure up. Now, obviously, this is going way too far. She is now a ghost. Maybe you could use this if you're gonna imply maybe like Obi-Wan right next to her or something like that. That would be awesome, I think. No, but we're gonna go ahead and maybe only boost the exposure just a touch. Maybe 0.5, 0.45. And then I'm gonna hit the shadows a little bit. Move those shadows up, maybe even a little bit more until you're happy. That is really cool. Now, if I hold down, it'll show me the before. So this is the shot, raw, out of camera, and this is the after. It's a pretty powerful tool, you have to admit. Now I'm gonna leave a little bit of the mood, bring the shadow back down. I was just trying to prove a point. I would probably leave it somewhere around in here and select done. Let's just say I select done at that point. I do see an inherent problem with what just happened, but let's say I select done. There's a couple of things you could do. You can drop the exposure, by the way, even more, get more crazy sky going on, and keep going back and forth until you're happy, right? So I'm going to do that in this case. Now, in case you didn't notice, I didn't fix the hand problem. You see what happened? So it did get really, really dark right there, and it's not too much of a problem. We just hit here, we go back into our same subject selection, and this time, instead of subtracting, we're gonna add to the mask, select the brush. Let's get the right size. That's not bad, maybe a little smaller just to be careful. And I can come back in and select this again and make sure that I'm getting everything I want out of the hand. Now it's in the dark, so it's pretty down in there. There we go. Okay, we go like this, and obviously I'm going to even clean up again and just erase some of my selection there, just so I don't have a halo around the hand. And you can take this to extremes if you want to. But to be able to mask out something that quickly is so cool. It has been an amazing tool, and I've been beginning to use that. And I know some people have been asking about some of the looks that I'm getting, and this is one of the tools that has helped me get a lot of those balancing effects and selection within a photo. Okay, and I'm pretty happy with that. Now, something else you can do is go in here, go back to your selection, and instead of that, we're gonna add a new one. Let's go to subject select, just like before. And let's say we wanna bring everything else around her down as opposed to the other way around. Well, then in the bottom left corner next to the trash can, there is actually an invert button. We click that, and as you can see, we now see what is actually being selected and what isn't. We can hit the light and we can drop the exposure all around, basically make it like it's nighttime almost in this shot. That's kind of funky to see it like this, but maybe we wouldn't take it that far. But maybe, just maybe, this would be something we would do for the final photo. Let's say we did. And of course, we still haven't touched the hand down there, but that has a really cool look to it, and it's a very powerful tool. Do I like it? Yes, it comes in handy a ton. How much do you want to use it and push this is really up to you and what you like and what your style is. So I hope that helped from an editing standpoint and kind of a workflow idea of one route that I take sometimes after doing a photo walk. What's going on? Yes, I do use a few LUTs. To me, LUTs are kind of like picking out your film stock and deciding how crazy you want to be with it. You know, you could get the street candy, purple, vibin', whatever, and go to town and really play with things. That's the fun part of art in general and photography for me. But I hope that that helped you see at least some of the process coming from a raw photo and to something that's a final photo as well. So thanks so much for joining me. Don't forget, if this helped you at all, please like, subscribe, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it 2 thumbs down, as they say. And if you got any other questions or comments or anything, let me know. If you'd like to see a specific direction when it comes to the Fuji X-T3, definitely let me know. Okay, that's it, bye.